Just 3 days ago, they were telling us that we are going towards a recession, the entire market is crashing, and that we should sell everything. And today, we've seen the market have its single best day in the entire year and one of its best days since 2020. So this begs the question on what the hell is going on. Is all of this just manipulation? And is there any plans that we can make so we can prepare for the next few trading days? In this video, I'm going to be going over all of that. So if that sounds interesting, all I ask you guys to do is like this video. So let's jump right into it. So guys, what we are looking at right now is NQ, which is the futures chart for the NASDAQ. And if we look at this trend line right here, we finally lost this nice trend line to the upside. And once we did, right here, we've seen this huge drop, which was about 12% from the highs. And if we go to the S&P 500, we had the same exact thing where we dropped about 10%. So what is going on? And this is actually not due to one single reason, but kind of a catapult of many reasons. So the first reason is actually not related to the US at all, which is kind of weird, but it's related to the trading markets between the United States and Japan. So guys, I'm gonna leave a link in the description to explain this a little bit more, but it was actually related to the yen carry trade that crashed the global market. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description so it can explain it a little bit more, but let me simplify it. So we have higher interest rates in the United States due to our inflation. In Japan, they had 0% interest rates. So what a lot of investors, billionaires were doing were they would go ahead and they would take the yen, they would trade the US dollar for the yen, and that would basically mean that they would be getting a currency that had lower interest. So they would be able to borrow money on lower interest, and then they would use that money to buy stocks. And since there was that small difference in price, they were able to make a lot of money. Now, Japan came out and they said they were raising interest rates. And once they came out and said that, that crashed the Japanese markets and that crashed the markets in the United States. So I'm going to leave a link in the description to go over this a little bit more, because this is not something that we commonly see. So if you want to read about that, you'll find that there. So that was the first reason. Now, the second reason was actually due to reports that we got last week. So if we look at Friday, so this is our economic calendar. If we look at Friday, we can see right here that we got these reports, the unemployment rate and our non-farm payrolls. So these reports tell us how many jobs were created. So non-farm payrolls, it tells us how many jobs were created the month earlier, and unemployment rate, kind of straightforward. It tells us the rate of unemployment in the United States. So for non-farm payrolls, we can see that the forecast, the expected was that 176,000 jobs would be created, but we actually only created 114,000. And we can also see that the expected for unemployment was 4.1%, and unemployment came at 4.3%. And even though this is very low, unemployment is very low compared to what it historically is, it is still higher than expected. And investors were spooked out by this because, well, we are expecting a interest rate cut in September, but this kind of tells investors that maybe we waited a little bit too long and maybe the markets are headed towards a recession already. So if we look at our charts, it kind of correlated with that report coming out. So when we look at Friday, so right here is Friday, we lost this demand zone right here at about 18,500, and we started bleeding from there, and that is when we seen an almost circuit breaker level drop in the NASDAQ. So now why are markets starting to rise again? Well, when markets drop like this and it is due to catalyst, the only way that we will see a reversal of that basic negative sentiment is if what has happened changes or enough time passes where investors don't care as much anymore. So in terms of what happened with Japan, well, the Japanese markets, they came out, the Japanese banks came out and they said, well, we actually will not be raising interest rates any higher as markets are very unstable. And that actually caused the Japanese markets to rise about 13%. It was like their biggest day after they had their worst day. So they came out, they said, hey, we see the markets are very unstable due to what we did, so we're not going to raise interest rates anymore for now. And this caused a reversal in the markets. So the first catalyst is out of the way. Now the second catalyst, which was the reports that came out showing that we might be headed towards a recession if we are not already in a recession. Well, this catalyst can only be reversed if we see reports that show anything better. And that is exactly what happened today. So if we look at today, we can see that we had initial jobless claims, which kind of measures how many people file for unemployment. So this tells us how many people file for unemployment. We can see the expected was that 241,000 people would file for unemployment. But when the report came out, it showed that 233,000 people filed for unemployment, which tells us less people filed for unemployment than was expected. So this is great for the markets. This tells us that maybe our markets are stronger than we think, and maybe we are not headed towards a recession. And the markets had a great response to this, and we had one of our best days in a long time. So if we look at NASDAQ, once that report came out, which was about right here at 8:30, we seen the markets rise from there and rise about 3% from those lows. So the question is, where are we headed now? And this is obviously just my opinion and what I see on the charts. So make sure you do your due diligence and basically just do your due diligence and not just take everything for what I say. So we had that report. And even though the markets did trade higher, we actually have not had a strong break above our supply level. So our supply level is right here, right? So this is our supply level that we have been struggling to break above. And we started to break above it today, but we can see that the momentum, that strength has kind of slowed down. And what I would expect if the markets wanted to make higher highs, I would expect something like this and for us to still be trending higher in after hours. But that's not what happened. Markets have kind of slowed down, and this is why I believe they have slowed down. If we look at our economic calendar once again, we can see that we don't have any major reports tomorrow, but we have super major reports next week. So if we look here, we can see on Wednesday, we have CPI data. So our inflation numbers, our major inflation numbers. So that's going to tell us kind of what is going on, where we're headed, all of that. And then we have on Thursday, initial jobless claims. So some more reports that are coming. And I think the overall markets are kind of hesitant to go higher until they get that reassurance of, okay, the markets are strong. We are headed towards a kind of a better path. So what is my plan in terms of the chart? So by the way, guys, all of my analysis, my charts, all of that, I post it in our group. So we have a private group. I'm gonna leave that link in the description as well. But if you look here, you can see this is from 3 days ago. And 3 days ago, I posted to the group that we are watching that 5300 zone, that 5300, 5350 zone. And that is the exact area that we seen that 4% drop 2 days in a row. So if you wanna be up to date on my analysis and our supply levels, our demand zones, and the trades that I am taking, I'm gonna leave that link in the description, so make sure you guys check that out. Anyways, so where do I think we are headed for tomorrow and this coming week? So right now markets are positive, and I think they're headed towards a positive kind of level going into the weekend. So this level, this 5300 level, for now it might be a support level. So this might be a support level for now, and I'll be watching this zone to see if we are able to hold this level. So are we able to hold, come back, retest this level, and start to grind higher on Friday and kind of get a trending day again. So if I see a break below this zone, then we see a little bit of weakness, we see a little bit of fear in the market. So it's going to be this 18,500 zone on NQ that's going to kind of gauge my, how should I say this, my plan for tomorrow and for Monday. And then if we go to ES, for this, it's going to be the 5300 zone, 5380. So if we see us breaking above this zone, come back, retest, and start trending higher, well, then I like that. But if I see us break below this zone or kind of consolidate around this area, that tells me there's a little bit of fear in the markets, and I don't want to be going long just yet. And tomorrow could just be a range day where we kind of just consolidate until more news comes out. Alrighty guys, so that is all for review of what happened this week and kind of my plan going into the next few trading days. And guys, for today I took a trade on Nvidia where I made $200. That trade was alerted, every piece of that trade was alerted to our group. So I see this video is already at about 12 minutes, so I'm gonna end this video here, but I'm gonna make another video just reviewing that trade. So make sure you follow so you can catch that video as soon as I upload it. So guys, thank you again for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.